is the network service of the NTA.
Hello and welcome to another interesting episode of Environment Matters. My name is Jennifer Igwe. Community forestry, experts say, is a strategic option that will help encourage the reduction of activities that promote forest degradation and deforestation. They also say that the Red Plus initiative will provide financial means of livelihood for many of the forest communities. But those who reside in such areas, what do they think about the project? Do they buy the idea? Do they trust the initiative? And what will be the long-term impact on the lives of forest communities and the nation as a whole? Now that is our focus today on Environment Matters, so don't go away.
When forests are cut, burned and converted to land, the carbon stored in the forest's vegetation and root structures is released as carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases. An area equivalent to New York City is lost every other day to deforestation, releasing 7 billion tons of CO2 into the atmosphere each year. This accounts for over 17% of greenhouse gas emissions globally, which is more than the global transportation sector.
Community forestry is an evolving branch of forestry where local communities play significant roles in forest management and land use decision making with the support of the government and relevant agencies. Reducing emission from deforestation and forest degradation, Red Plus experts say, can foster community management of forests.
What is important in RED is sustainable forest management, meaning that you only take what is necessary and leave the forest to regenerate on its own to replace what you have taken. Do not take beyond the capacity of the forest to regenerate, because if you have a baseline, you want to maintain this ratio of vegetation cover in your country. If you assume that your target now you are at less than 10% of total land area, and you want to reach, say, 25% of the total land area under forest cover. All you need to do is, well, you have to keep conserving and bringing up more areas to become forest.
The role of forest in climate change mitigation is increasingly gaining attention. Red Plus is incorporated in the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change UNFCCC process, which has been supported by several international initiatives. Designing a successful Red Plus plan and strategy is a complex undertaking because it deals with changing behaviors of people towards forest and land use in general.
We've gone quite far. We've now created a stakeholder forum where the people will take ownership of the project. It's no longer that yes, government is monopolizing it or any stakeholder group, but that the stakeholders, the various major stakeholder groups, including people in the private sector, will have opportunity to have awareness about what RED is, and they have opportunity to decide, to take decisions on what needs to be. And there will be, within the RED readinesses, a legal framework to operate so that everybody is regulated adequately. So I would think that in the next couple of months or so to 1 year, we should be done with the RED readiness era. And then, having identified a couple of things like the drivers of deforestation, we hope at this point in time, the people from the private sector, the investment people, then the donor community, they should be able to invest to address drivers of deforestation. Drivers of deforestation are basically the reason why the forest is going. For instance, the slash and burn agriculture. So we need to move away from there. That agricultural pattern encourages deforestation. To look about intensive agriculture, the one that you can farm on the same piece of land for a couple of years. Eco-agriculture, smart agriculture, climate-smart agriculture, and that stuff.
Reducing emission from deforestation and forest degradation is an effort to create financial values for the carbon stored in forests. This is achieved through incentives offered to developing countries for reduction of emissions from forested lands, including investment in low-carbon path to sustainable development.
It's a much more sustainable means of driving our economy. Let forests drive our economy. And the world is graduating into a green economy, and Nigeria wants to get there too. It is a sustainable kind of economy. It's like eating your cake and still having it. You embrace things that integrate environmental consciousness into everything that you do. So forest is the catalyst for that program. So we are quite serious about the RED program, that with it, we'll be able to address a couple of issues. Through forests, we have to deal with issues of climate change, we have to deal with issues of biodiversity, we have to deal with issues of watershed and ecosystem services. So, and all these things, if we fashion our economy adequately, multiple chains of income, you get money from carbon credits too. They can now add value to their resources. I want to take a typical example. We're biodiversity hotspots. That presupposes that there are a lot of resources, there are a lot of both animal, flora and fauna resources, but they're not being tapped, they're being wasted. There's no pharmaceutical industry. We have biodiversity, there's no pharmaceutical industry. We have pharmaceutical industries in the West. That's the western part of the world. And meanwhile, they don't have enough plants. They take our plants to do that. So if we focus on biotechnology and all those kind of things, most of the things that we have are plant-based. Typical Cross River State, there is no pharmaceutical output. There's no bioengineering activities going on. So if we focus on what we have to discover the usefulness of our plants' resources, we can export the benefits to the rest of the world. There are so many diseases like Ebola, like HIV/AIDS, like some cancer treatments. We are looking for treatment for all these kind of things. They are dependent on plants.
Getting local people involved in the RED Plus project is crucial for its success. This is because of the conservation and livelihood conflict that will arise. Series of workshops are already being organized by the National UN RED Office in conjunction with the Federal Ministry of Environment and the United Nations Development Programme.
To make sure that we get things right, we organize cluster meetings. Cluster meetings, I meant we went back to these communities. We have 3 pilot sites for RED Plus in Cross River State. And we went back to each of these pilot sites and gathered all the communities around there to discuss issues about RED, giving feedback, being accountable for what we've done in 2014 and getting feedback from them to confirm that we're on track and input into 2015 annual work plan. Now, after the cluster meetings and engagement with other stakeholders. We are now having this Cross River State Red Plus Forum as the ultimate platform for decision making in RED. It's bringing together community representatives, government representatives, civil society, the media, private sector, to brainstorm on progress made, document lessons learned, and then basically validate two important documents that will support RED Plus implementation. One of them is the community-based RED Plus. The CBR Plus is a platform where RED is going to engage with communities to build their capacity in various sectors to be able to implement RED. And then the PGA, Participatory Governance Assessment Report, was just conducted, and the PGA will ensure that we identify governance issues that can limit RED or natural resource governance and identify safeguards to address those.
The awareness meetings notwithstanding, some community members are still skeptical about the initiative.
At first, what they were doing, we were not aware of it. But through this the media that it has come to prove that they are doing their work in a very nice way for people to understand, not community to quarrel with any community. This awareness will bring us together to be satisfied on what the forestry are doing. They are trying to improve the work of the forestry and try to increase the awareness of what they are doing in the forest. So we so much like it, the way that they have taken now. Community will not go to have conflicts with another community, to fight with another community, because they are saying openly what they are doing. Because in due course, government go and government come. People's minds are not the same. Another person may come to be the governor of the state, and he come with his own opinion. So, to me, I don't know how that trust it fully.
When we heard it initially, in fact, we were confused. We thought money would soon come to us. People became excited that money was going to come. The information got to us in 2010. But up till now, we are now taking it in stages. They say we're the preparing stage before it really comes. But apart from expecting anything from RED program, I've seen the virtues of conservation, and I've really instilled it in my people. Whether financial benefit comes or not, but we are out to conserve our forests. People happen to, those of us that come from that area, where we depend solely on in the forest. We tap our resources from the forest. But with the RED program, the RED program has come to instill in us the sustainable means of tapping these resources without finishing the forest for posterity. The fear is that when money comes, some people might benefit much more than others.
Are there modalities to ensure forest communities are not shortchanged?
Those concerns are not unfounded. But that's why we're saying that RED must be regulated through a legal framework. Don't forget, although there's country ownership, but you have other stakeholders. The international donor community, who are, in the first instance, whose money we are using to do the RED as at now. So they have a stake. So if you want their money, then you must also say, okay, conform to the set standards. So that's the thing. So those are the safeguards that are in place to regulate to contain such fears.
One of the challenges we could also have may be working with the wrong civil society organizations. And we have put modalities on ground to ensure that we have credible civil society organizations who are registered and have proven evidence of what they've done before. A development challenge in the past has been time. When funding opportunities come like this, donors may give very short time, and civil societies react quickly, putting pressure on communities to identify needs that might not be their actual needs. But for CBR Plus, we are giving it enough time for consultations to be made, for people to be aware, and for civil societies to take responsibility and go down on ground to communities. And we are providing spot checks, more like quality control.
Nigerian Red Project is adopting a two-track approach where a series of activities are being conducted at the national and state levels to help prepare the country for the program.
Both implementations are taking place parallel, but they are all complementary to each other. And to report RED, the reporting is to be done to the UNFCCC from the national level, but with information measured at the subnational level.
Reduced emissions from deforestation and forest degradation RED is a carbon market mechanism aimed at mitigation of greenhouse gases that cause climate change. Developed countries will pay developing countries to conserve their forests.
I don't know how much of power we have from the developing world to stop the developed world from polluting. Even to get them to sign agreement is talk of war. We are not developing nations the ones to cause them to stop polluting. Okay? It is they themselves. Slave trade, the slaves never stopped this slave trade. It took the action that they themselves, it must be financial incentive that caused some of them to stop the slave trade. So we cannot reverse now that anything we do here will stop them. No. The only thing is that we take advantage of the situation now.
It is estimated that 20% of the CO2 emitted into the atmosphere comes from deforestation. Carbon dioxide is one of the major gases that largely contributes to global warming. Recent scientific studies have concluded that old-growth forests, in particular, store far more carbon dioxide. Having identified current and projected rates of deforestation and forest degradation, a country taking remedial action to effectively reduce those rates will be financially rewarded relative to the extent of the achieved emission reductions.
You must demonstrate using the trees that you have and show how you have reduced emission.
The progress the world is making on RED Plus and benefits inherent in it are not shared by some civil society organizations and forest communities globally.
We want clean water, we want clean land. Carbon credits and all these other things for profits is not right.
RED does not cut emissions. It allows polluters to continue polluting with the hope that the forests are absorbing an equivalent of that carbon.
We must take advantage of this financial incentive and get money. It's like eating your cake and still having it. We are not cutting down any tree, we are not losing anything, but rather we are gaining because they are paying for the pollution they are causing somewhere. You can't stop them from their industrial development. No, we cannot. We don't have what it takes to stop them. We cannot. Not even in the negotiating table. No, we don't. So the only way is that we take advantage of that financial window.
The scientific evidence is stronger than ever. Better and more observations. Improved understanding of the climate system response. Further development of climate models. All point in the same direction. Human influence on the climate system is clear.
Gases, which scientists have tagged greenhouse gases, cause global warming and climate change through what is regarded as the greenhouse effect.
It is very important to understand the greenhouse effect. It is as simple as taking the example of a car. If you leave a car under the sun, the heat of the sun will be trapped inside the car, and when you go back to your car, it's always warmer inside the car than outside. This is because the heat from the sun was trapped under the window of the car, and it's always hotter inside the car than outside, right? This is a phenomenon called the greenhouse effect. It's a purely natural phenomenon. We have exactly the same phenomenon around planet Earth. There's an atmosphere, a layer of gases around planet Earth that has exactly the same impact as a window, the windshield of a car. And this layer of gases around planet Earth trap the sun, the heat of the sun. And the temperature at the surface of the temperature is higher than without these gases. Without these greenhouse gases around planet Earth, the temperature at the surface of planet Earth will be minus 18 degrees C. Because we have this layer of greenhouse gases around planet Earth, the average temperature on the surface of the Earth is 15 degrees Celsius. This is a perfectly natural phenomenon. Greenhouse effect is a perfectly natural phenomenon. What's wrong today is that this layer of gases is getting thicker and thicker because of the emission of some of the greenhouses that we emit during our economic development. Mainly through the use of fossil fuel, we emit CO2 emission, while at the same time we cut trees. That also, this cutting of trees add to the greenhouse gas emission. Since we are using fossil fuel to run the economy, first by using coal, then oil and gas, we emit every year more and more greenhouse gas emission. And we have never stopped the emissions. And as we develop, we need energy. And most of the energy that we use for our development, for human development all over the world, is mostly based with fossil energy. So the trend has always been that we consume more and more energy for our development, and we emit more and more greenhouse gas emissions. I don't have the figure in mind, but between 2000 and 2010, we have increased by a great amount the greenhouse gas emission. This is a pure consequence of economic development. Climate change has always happened on Earth. There was some ice age, and then some meltdown, and then some little. But this happened. This evolution of climate happened because of the rotation of planet Earth compared to the Sun, the inclination of the Sun, the distance to the Sun. There was some change, but all those change. Those climatic change happen on a long period of time. What is happening today is by the reinforcement, the increase of the greenhouse effect, humans are responsible for the current global warming. And humans, because of their greenhouse gas emission, are responsible for the current climate change that we are observing.
Africa. A continent is heating up. Vulnerable nature. Almost 1 billion people. No one else is as hard hit by climate change. Resources become scarce. Poverty is growing. A growing number of Africans is therefore speaking up on climate change.
That's all we can take today on Environment Matters. Now, if you have any question you want to ask or comments you want to make, you can send us a mail via our email right now on your screen, and also hook up with us on Facebook. We will try to respond and interact in a way that you will understand. And for all of you who religiously send me mails, thank you. I get your mails, and I really appreciate most of the comments that you send and views that you have concerning the program. And maybe one day we will dedicate an episode to reading out some of the mails that you've sent to us. Okay? So let us keep up the fight to save our environment, because you and I will have vital roles to play in saving planet Earth. So my name is Jennifer Igwe. Next week is a date.